Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Just a couple things to get started here. First one is last week's tape, 5Q tape breakdown was in this tape snippet, we hear a client lob a pass to the advisor, an easy catch, and what happens? I think he's so surprised things are going well that he panics. So again, guys, this is a great little thing you get twice a month or every other week that you can learn and get your skills better. So please pay attention to these things, and when you learn something, practice a little bit in your 15-minute drills that you should be doing every day, right? We have a guest speaker. We've had him on many times before. Tom has shared with me a couple weeks ago that a lesson that he learned. He's having a fabulous last 2 or 3 years, and sometimes when you're having a fabulous 2 or 3 years, you forget some of the fundamentals or make a tiny little misstep that can cost you. Tiny little missteps can sometimes cost you big bucks. So he was gracious enough to suggest that everybody might benefit from this tiny little misstep. So Tom, can you kind of let people know what happened?
Yeah, I lost a $2 million client. That's in a nutshell the painfulness of it. Yes, I do try to share the missteps and hope that the whole class can learn from that. But I'll give just a real quick summary of what led up to that loss, just to give a little tiny bit of background on it. So I've been had a client that I've had since around beginning of 2009 who was a referral, who had just lost her husband, and her entire focus was on protecting her family. She had a special needs son, and she was finishing up paying for college pharmacy school for her daughter. And her entire focus was on protecting the assets that were left behind. Any growth would come from future things like 401ks and so on. So we set up a really nice portfolio and a really nice plan, a lot of insurance products, some FIAs, and a nice IUL for her future. But she had the sneaking suspicion that she wasn't gonna live to see, the grandkids and the whole 9 yards out there. And she'd always talk to me about this. So fast forward over the years, she was a great client, stayed in touch, always on my drip list and epidemic marketing once I joined teams with 5Q and all that stuff. I had met her daughter while she was in college, and one time right after she graduated with college, but really hadn't been focused at that time until I joined 5Q on bringing the family into the equation. And unfortunately, at the end of last year, so around end of November, I got a panicked call from the daughter who said her mom had cancer and she was terminal, and she needed to get all the information together and all that stuff. Mom is only late 50s at this point, by the way. And then started getting stuff together, communicating with the daughter in a frantic back and forth of calls and emails and all this other stuff, making sure all her stuff was in order. And then I got the call. Her mom passed away. So my client had passed away in December, very beginning of December of last year, so just a couple months ago. And I knew there were all these assets and all these things going on, and she had amassed other assets along the way. And yeah, unfortunately, one of the first things the daughter talked about was getting the information over to her advisor, and he was going to help her put all this stuff together, get it invested, set up correctly for her and her brother. And that was, obviously there was the trauma of losing a good client you'd had for years, but then to just kind of put an end to the whole situation, the daughter's like, yeah, I'm not even going to talk to you about this. And she basically took a $2 million estate over to her advisor. And all of this leads up to the fact that I didn't do my job of bringing the family in to the equation and then staying in touch with the family. And obviously I don't do that just for the idea of, hey, let's look to the future, and when mom and dad pass away, I want to be the advisor. We do it for lots of different reasons. One, it's the right thing to do to make sure the kids are there and they know somebody. Obviously, there's a little bit of a CYA element to it for us as well. And you want to do good things for your clients, and I think including the family is super important. But every now and then, and this was true before I joined 5Q, it was not a priority. It was not something I put effort into, and the mistake was a $2 million client. And I shared this story with Mike, like you said, a couple weeks ago, as I was sitting on the edge of a cliff because I was like, man, I really screwed this one up bad. Because I didn't do my job. I didn't do my job with the family. I did my job for the client, but not with the family.
Well, unfortunately, that you do it for most of your clients. This is just one of the ones you did not do it with. And if you think about it, guys, so guys, who would be his client has a special needs child. Tom had been helping them for the last 12 years with that, help set that up, help make sure it was running smoothly, etc. Who would have been best positioned to help this daughter? Tom, who had set everything up to begin with and knew everything backwards and forwards, or a new advisor who really the only thing he wants is what? He's going to put it all into the market and he's going to make her $1 million, and that's what she's listening to. So who would have been better off? Yeah, Tom. Yeah, definitely Tom. So it's a shame because he's going to put all that money in the market at the best time to put the money in the market or the worst time to put the money in the market. Yeah, so that's right. So at the worst. So Tom has done this. How many clients do you really? What percentage of your clients, Tom, would you say that you do communicate very, very well with their children?
Now I would say 90%. There's some that are you're never going to get them all onto the same page. You're never going to get all of them to want to communicate with you. But I would say that 90% of them I at least have very respectable communication with, and certainly there'll be those that I would never be able to, transfer down to me if something happens to mom or dad. I'm not unrealistic. But so for me, it was when I joined the team with you guys, again, it was not, some of my best clients are the children of the parents who've passed on. But in the past, it was a afterthought of, oh yeah, I want to meet the kids, or hey, the kids made the request. Now it's an absolute part of my entire process is at some point in time there's no negotiation. We're bringing the kids in, we're going to have a conversation, we're going to meet, et cetera, et cetera. Where it goes from there is immaterial at that time. But it's really about making sure that everybody's on the same page for, as we said, lots of different reasons. So I'd say probably closing in on 90% of my clients I at least have respectable communication with.
And John asks, how do you broach that with your clients to get the children involved? How do you do that?
It's really about, it's kind of the softball or the gentle intro about, where are you guys with conversations with the kids? First of all, you got to feel out the parents. If the parents are completely against it at that point in time, there's not much you can do. It's just over time you want to bring them into the conversation. So it's always just kind of a real gentle opening of where are you with the conversation with the kids? How much do they know? How much is it that you want them to know? I really make it a priority in my practice to have good family communication. Why don't you tell me what that looks like for you guys? So sometimes it's a slower process. Other times it's like, oh yeah, I want my kids, daughter number one, she's number one on the trust and all these other things, and she needs to be involved. How soon can we get her in here? So I always broach the subject. It's just I'll handle it in typically a very, I guess, gentle approach initially, just to get a sense of what the parents are thinking, and then take the conversation from there based on what they start to share with me.
So I'm sure we all appreciate, Tom, that you're sharing. Listen, you're doing a fabulous job bringing new clients on. I mean, you've had some great, the last 2 or 3 years, fantastic years bringing new clients on, even during the COVID epidemic, through online marketing, through online seminars, through referrals. You're the king of referrals. So it's not that you're hurting for money. This is just a kick in the shins that, geez, this was an easy layup that I missed. So
yeah, absolutely. You got it. That's absolutely right, Mike. It's just a complete real kick in the rear end because it was clear that I failed. I didn't do my job correctly for a whole lot of reasons on this. I dropped the ball at the end of the day, and it was just a great reminder that even as with all the coaching, all the things you do for us, all the things we do in practice, and so on and so forth, that we got to stay focused so we don't get too ahead of ourselves and forget some of these types of things that should really be part of our day-to-day processes. And this was just an unfortunate but significantly really just fantastic reminder, not fantastic in a good way, fantastic reminder to me to not overlook those kind of details.
Yeah, and I assured Tom, he, as you probably remember, has been on talking about his follow-up and the way he contacts people. He's the king of follow-up, which is why he's the king of referrals on our system. So he'll get this lady back, but the problem is now he's going to have to get the lady back the hard way versus the easier way of just keeping her to begin with. And he's probably going to get her back when her accounts are larger than they are right now or smaller than they are right now. What'd you guess? Because this guy, he put her all into the wealth management stuff, and she's going to come back when she gets kicked in the shins and thinking, why did I move it to my guy who my mom gave me $2 million and it's grown to $1.2 million. So this is a great lesson. I appreciate, Tom, that you kind of let us under your umbrella to show that, even the best of us make mistakes sometimes, and I'm sure we can all learn from it. So thank you very much, Tom. I greatly appreciate it.
As always, you are more than welcome.
Thanks. Okay, guys, so let's all learn from those kind of tiny missteps, and if you ever have a misstep that you want to share with the guys, we all appreciate that. So now today, the first little pointer I had today is how we can again differentiate ourselves from our current from our competitors. So most of us, and 95% of us, do we sell property casualty insurance? No. So when we go through and help a client with property casualty insurance, having them think about things that the property casualty insurance guy didn't tell them about, do we get paid to do that? No. So why is that so important to cover it? Remember, people won't work with you till they know you care. Generally, you can't show you care until they work with you. This is a way for us to show that we care even before they work with us. So you certainly want to talk about what I'm going through right now with your client, but you also want to make sure you add this or salt this in with a prospect, okay? So they understand, wow, my guy's never talked to me about that. Wow, that could save me thousands of dollars. So what I want to talk about today with property casualty is this. When you're in a car accident, you're going to get your car what? When you're in a car accident, you're going to get your car what? Repaired, right. But does that bring it back to its original value? Even if you get it repaired perfectly, no. There's a diminished value. I know there are all sorts of sites now that tell people if your car's been in an accident. Can you hide that anymore? No. So what happens is you get a diminished value of your car, even though you had nothing to do with it. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you get paid for more than just the repairs. For example, your car's worth $24,000. You get rear-ended, not your fault. The collision repairs the car, but it's not the same. Even though the car's the same, even though the car is as good as it always was, for resale value, it's dropped now from $24,000 to $19,500. You've lost how much? How much money in the value of that car have you lost? Is that real money or is that fake money? That's money right out of your pocket. So what you want to do is make sure you get an appraisal, because there are the other insurance company should have to pay you more than what the car repair was. So should you ever take the first check if you're in a car accident, should you ever take that first check to pay for the the accident. And this only works if the other person's at fault. If you're at fault, it's not going to work. But if the other person rear-ended you, if they're at fault, you should not take that. What you want to do is go to appraisal options, and they'll tell you, here's 3 of them: collisions.com, claims.com, wreckcheck.com, ican2000dv.com. This site has an excellent a walkthrough exactly how you do this. This is what you can refer. You should write this one down to tell your clients about, because it walks you through. So after an accident, put the insurer on notice. I'm going to explore diminished value. That lets them know they're not going to be able to skate under that. So do not sign or cash a check until exploring appraisal. The other driver's company is likely to lowball you. Now, I've been in accidents. My kids have been in accidents. And guess when I found out about this. Did I find out about this from my property casualty agent? Want to take a wild guess? Nope. So guess when I even found out about this? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So how many of your clients do you think realize this? Yeah, none of them. So is this a way, again, for you to show the value you add to a prospect? And as somebody said earlier, Dave said earlier, we make an even wider moat around our current clients. So that's a great point, David. So it's a great thing to show prospects. It's a great thing to talk about with clients, because you're saving them potentially how much money? $100? Thousands of dollars, and it costs you how much to do it? Nothing. So it's another way to show that you care. And I've said this 100 times. I made $1 million a year as an advisor by doing the things I did not get paid for. I didn't change all the things. I still recommended the same products. I still did the same financial plan. I still did all of that. The change from me going from 50 grand a year in income to $1 million a year was doing the things I did not get paid for and having the client tell me instead of me telling them. Those two things. So put this on your agenda to talk to your clients about. Put this on your agenda to talk to your prospects about when you're doing the property casualty portion of your 21. Now, with your clients, what should you be doing every single year on your annual review? What should you be covering every single year in your annual review? Should you be going over their survivor's guide? Yeah, you should be. That's right, Alfred. You should be doing, or Jeff, you should be doing the 21 light. You should be covering the 7 non-financial things. I mean, I tell you, I would talk to my clients about the survivor's guide every single time. That's how I start out the meeting. And I'd say, now, did you get that survivor's guide done? Oh, no, I didn't get that done. Okay, that's still cool. That's cool. Here, I'll give you another one. But we need to get that done. Why is that important? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's right. And, why did people not want to do the survivor's guide? Nobody wants to think about what? Dying. So they did not do it. So I didn't push them. But even though they didn't want to think about dying, even though they didn't want to do the survivor's guide, what were they thinking about me when I covered that survivor's guide at the beginning of every annual meeting? Mike cares more about me than just the money. Does that make sense? So you cover those 7 non-financial things. So when you get to the property casualty, you say, did you sit down with your property casualty agent and go through that 10-point checklist? Well, no, I didn't. Now, why is that important to do that? Oh, and here's another one you should add right to it. Do we have, how do you deal with, and do you help me with diminished value when I'm hit by a car? Because I expect you to. So why, because that's the whole thing. Why didn't my property casualty agent cover this with me when I had accidents? Did he get paid more to help me with that? No. So what did he do? If he doesn't ask me about it, I'm not going to tell him about it because I don't need any more work. He knew, but just like our competitors, why don't the competitors do all those 7 non-financial things that we do? Why don't they do them? because they don't get paid to do them. And do you think property casualty agents are more industrious than financial advisors? Or are they just as lazy? Yeah. So please, 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 another little piece of ammunition to show that you're different from all your competitors. Make sense? How do your savings stack up? I thought this is very interesting information. This is from the employee benefit. What the heck is it? I don't even know what employee benefit research institute. There it is. So, which deals a lot with pensions and those kind of things. But they went through and looked at 70 million baby boomers in retirement and looked at where they fell. So people, where they fell in retirement assets, debt, health status, marital status, gender impact, all of these things. And they basically put people into different groups. And I thought this was very enlightening. So they looked at financial assets. Survey asked about the approximate value of the respondents' household assets, defined as the sum of the value of stocks, mutual funds, blah, blah, all their assets. So the low was people who had less than 100,000. The median was 99,000. So people with low were less than the median. First of all, we're talking about baby boomers here, guys. These are people at or extremely near retirement, and 99,000 is the median. Is that scary or not scary? Intermediate was those in the middle were 99,000 to 320, which is 75th percentile, and then the high were more than $320,000. Income, they looked at people with low was less than $40,000 of income, intermediate was 40,000 to 100,000, and high was above 100,000. So where did people end up? Ends up that 28% of people are average, 22% are comfortable, 19% are affluent, 18% are struggling, and 12% are just getting by. So who are these people? Well, the average, which was the most of people, which would make sense for the average, right? They had assets of less than 99,000, but they had income between 40 to 100,000. And that was coming from Social Security and pensions. So the average person had less than 99,000, but their income, if they were smart and didn't have a lot of debt, was this okay? Is this an okay lifestyle? Yes, until what happens? Yeah, medical, or it could be any number of things. Half of them spend less than $3,000 a month. So if they make 40 to 100,000, and half of them are spending less than 3,000, they're right. They're doing okay. Because there's a difference between being rich and wealthy. I saw this definition between being rich and wealthy. Rich means you have ungodly amounts of money and income, but does rich necessarily mean you're wealthy? No. It has to do with how much you spend. Look at shoot, who was that actor that got in trouble with all the real estate and had to give it all back? One of my favorite actors. I can't. His name's escaping me right now. He was come on. He was in The Rock. Everybody knows who he is. No, not Johnny Depp. Oh, I'll think of it. Remember, he got in trouble. Nick Cage. Thank you, Dean. Nick Cage. So he was unbelievably wealthy. He had $110 million, and this is back 20 years ago. But he was extremely rich. But what's he worth today? He's worth less than $10 million today. Why? He went from $110 million 20 years ago, so he should be really rich now with the boom that we just had in the market, to less than $10 million. Why? Because he was overspending. If you ever look at what he did, he was buying all sorts of weird ass stuff, overspending. But people who are making $100,000 a year, spending $36,000 a year, those people are what? Wealthy. And the majority of those people tend to believe lifestyle unchanged from working, so they're living an okay lifestyle. Out of a scale of 10, life satisfaction 7.5 out of 10. Is that necessarily a bad thing? 7.5 out of 10 in retirement, is that an okay level? I think it's an okay level. So that's the average person. Now the comfortable people, 22% are comfortable. They have assets between 99,000 to 320,000. Income between 40 and 100,000. 75% say savings are adequate or more than needs. And again, that's until what? Medical problems. They cite retirement plans plus Social Security as a primary income. So they're not relying, these people generally are not relying on pensions they're relying on their 401ks, 403bs, etc., and their Social Security. They spend, again, half spend less than $3,000 a month. So if they've got this kind of assets, are spending below what they're spend below what they're making or bringing in, they're doing okay. Most think their standard of living has not changed since working here, so they're living just as nicely as they did while they're working, and they have an 8 out of 10 satisfaction. That's pretty good. 19% of people are affluent, assets greater than $320,000, income greater than $100,000. Only 1 in 3 said they plan on spending a significant portion of the savings. So that means whatever they're spending way less than they're making income-wise, so they don't plan on spending principal. 1 in 4 said, now that's 1 out of 3. So that means 2/3 are what? Going to spend it. 2/3 are going to spend it. 1 in 4 said their standard of living has increased in retirement. Most of the income comes out of pensions and retirement accounts. So these are people that are there people out there getting $100,000 in pensions? Police officers in many places are getting pensions over $100,000. Teachers are getting pensions over $100,000 in many, like Chicago and New York and LA. So there are people getting $100,000 in pensions. They have an 8.1 out of satisfaction. But look at this. Isn't that interesting? Is there a huge difference between the average person who has less than $100,000 and is spending less than what they're making, 7.5? Is that a huge difference between these folks who don't have a lot of money, but they have a good income and are spending less than that, and these people that have great income and good assets? Is there a huge difference? No. Pretty darn close to the same. So what it comes down to, if they're spending less than they're bringing in, they feel okay. But now you get into the struggling, which is 18% of people. They have $99,000 or less. 75% have less than $40,000 a year income. More renters than any other group. 20% have unmanageable debt. Social Security makes up almost all of their income. And they believe their standard of living is below when they're working. So they were probably laid off or they were forced out due to health. Otherwise, would have kept working. They have a 5.8 out of 10. That's a significant difference, isn't it? Just getting by, 12%, low levels of income and assets. Difference is that they tend to own their homes free and clear. So at least they know they have a roof over their head. Half have no debt because they paid off their home before they retired. Half believe they saved enough for retirement. Most of income comes from Social Security, but because they have a roof over their head, they just stay within what they need to spend. And they have a 7.2 out of 10 satisfaction. Is that a huge difference? So you have just getting by, struggling, comfortable, affluent, and average. But look at this. So this is a great indication. Why of just getting by retirees, 6% are women. Struggling retirees, 65% are women. Is that a lot different than these other categories? So why, with our unique selling proposition, when we talk about Social Security, do we say, have you explored the program that when you die, your wife will not be affected by the loss of your pension check? Why do we use the wife as the example for that? Yes, it impacts women more. That's exactly right. And because there's more, when you talk about that, how many women have a friend, an aunt, a sister, a cousin who's experienced it? They were just fine when they were married, but when he died and they lost his Social Security, she fell into these two categories. Virtually all of them have, right? Virtually all of them have. So that's why, even though it will protect the husband, I highly recommend that you talk about the wife losing the husband's check, because they get it. They know people, they know friends, neighbors, relatives that that's happened to. Does that make sense? Marital status and retirement profiles. Again, when we look at not married, divorced, or widowed, so if we look at the rust, green, and blue, look at down here. Green, blue, rust. These green and blue, divorced and widowed. Boom, 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 boom. Over here, married are the majority in the comfortable, affluent, and average. But look what happens when they divorce or get widowed. See, that's why we use that. And then where do they get their income from? So it's all sorts of, but the only one I wanted to look at was this one. So income source, guaranteed monthly income, such as an annuity. Who has annuities, guys? What group has annuities and use it for income? What's it say here, guys? Who has annuities and guaranteed income? The affluent and comfortable. The affluent and comfortable. So, do you think our clients, the people, and who do we want as clients? Do we want the affluent and comfortable retirees, or do we want just getting by struggling and average retirees that have less than $100,000 in assets? We want the people with $100,000 to $320,000 to more than that. And how many of them like annuities, guys? Add this up. What is this? What's 14 plus 24, 11 plus 29? Do they want annuities? The vast majority of them. And why do you think the rest of these don't want annuities or don't have annuities? Based on the last 12 years of the market, why do the rest of these comfortable and affluent retirees not have annuities? Because they're convinced that what? Yeah, they listen to Fisher. That's exactly right. They think the market's going to go up forever. They don't want to miss on that. So this is a great lesson to see that do the people we want to meet with like annuities? Well, 41% have them, and affluent, 41% of affluents have guaranteed income from annuities. Are we talking about pensions here, guys? Or are we talking about annuity products here? They have pensions in these other diagrams. This is about what? Them purchasing an annuity for income. I'm wealthy. Guess what I have? Millions of dollars in annuity that I will turn into income when I need it. So that's people that are wealthy don't look down on annuities. They're buying annuities. How many have long-term care insurance? Well, again, affluent and comfortable retirees, do they value or not value long-term care insurance? They buy for it. Now, of course, they can afford it. But like affluent retirees, could many of these affluent retirees actually just pay for it themselves out of their pocket? So the point I want to make here is, have you discussed long-term care with your clients? If not, you should talk to Matt, you should talk to Jerry, and at least present them with our other USP, which is what? Getting long-term care without expensive annual premiums. So you should be at least broaching that with them, right? Spending down all or a significant portion of their financial assets. If you look at the affluent retirees, do they plan on spending down all their assets? Well, only 34% of us. So 2/3 are not going to spend a significant portion. 1/3 are. So that's why we want to go after affluent and comfortable retirees, because the vast majority of them we're going to be able to manage their assets well into their old age. Make sense? Now here's the funny thing. Always or usually dip into savings during market downturns. How many people say that they always or usually dip into their savings during market downturns? A high percentage or a low percentage? Very low. Sometimes dip into savings, sometimes spend less in market downturn. Again, low. Always usually spend less during market downturn. They spend less. Instead of going into their savings, they spend less. Now, here's the problem with these numbers. What are these numbers based on? It's a fallacy. What fallacy are these numbers based on? What fallacy are these numbers based on? What's happened over the last 12 years to the market? Have they really experienced a downturn? The downturn in the beginning of COVID lasted how long? Couple of months. Did that really affect people's having to adjust for 2 months? Is that the same as when we have a bear market where they have to adjust for 10 years? What have the people that answered this, what have none of them experienced? So are these numbers valid? Because if they've experienced a crash, but the crash lasted 2 months. A crash is not a bear market. A bear market is when it goes down and then takes years, not months, couple of months, but years to come back. And then how many are going to have to dip into savings? And then how painful is it going to be? See, they haven't experienced what it's like a down market is like, have they? They haven't, not spending for 2 months is that the same or different than not spending for 11 years or 17 years or 25 years or 18 years? Have these people experienced these down markets? How will these numbers change? And how badly will they get hurt when this stuff happens? And will this happen? Will we see some more purple times, guys? According to the Cape, the Shiller's Cape PE, how close are we to this purple? We're extremely close to this purple, another purple entity. Make sense? Average score of satisfaction with retirement life. It's amazing how the only people that are really not all that satisfied are people who are, don't have a roof over their head that's paid for and struggle with no assets and low income. It's a sad situation for them. But really, if the point I want to make here is comfortable in retirement or affluent and average, these affluent, how much happier are they than the average retiree? How much happier are the affluent than the average retiree that has less than $100,000 of assets? More than $320,000? Less than $100,000. Are they extremely more happy or barely happy? So for all of our competitors who are trying to make their clients richer and richer and richer, is it really helping them with their satisfaction of retirement life? Everybody answer that. Trying to make somebody richer in retirement, does it really give them a better satisfaction with their retirement life? See, and I've said this over and over and over and over. We have the worst jobs in the world. Can we make people happy by the way we manage their assets? No. If you give them 8%, they're going to wonder why you didn't get them 9%. And think about this. If let's say their return was 31% this year, but they found out that they're going to get a divorce. They found out their son has a drug problem. They found out they were going to die. Do they say, are they still happy because, hey, you know what? At least I've made 31%. Do they get happier because of that? No, they get excited, but how long does that last? How long does the excitement last over them making 31% last year or whatever it was? Moments. So we can't make them happy. We can make them very, very temporarily excited, but we can't make them happy. But can we make them sad? Can we make them sad? Yeah, John said he had a couple that got 32%. Their other advisor made 35%, so they left for that extra 3%. So let's go back. So we can't make them happy. We can make them temporarily excited, but can we make them sad? Yeah, we can make them very sad. Why? Because when the market falls 31%, falls 40%, do they say, well, at least I got my health. Well, at least I still have a happy marriage. Well, at least my kid doesn't have a drug problem. Do they say that, or are they sad? Does it change their lifestyles when you lose them money? Does it change their sleep patterns? Does it change the way they spend? Does it change their satisfaction in retirement? Of course these people are satisfied right now. Why are these people satisfied right now? Because the market's been up for how long? If this satisfaction survey was taken in 2008, what would people have said? If this satisfaction was taken in 2010, what would people have said? If this satisfaction survey was taken in 2004, what would people have said? Would it be like this? No, they would have been very, very unsatisfied. And guys, is it coming? Are we due for another period of those times? You don't want your clients unsatisfied. So you can't make them happier by getting them a higher rate of return, but you sure in hell can make them a little less happy by muffing it and think you're going to get out at the right time. Guys, are any one of us or is anybody on this earth exist who's going to get their clients out at the exact right time? No. Make sense? They're all saying, what, me worry? Market does nothing but go up. So if you're going to try to keep clients, what's the best way to get them to leave their current advisor? They're satisfied right now. They're thinking, hey, everything's great. I love my advisor. I'm a comfortable retiree. I love my advisor. I'm affluent. I love my advisor. I'm average. I love my advisor. They all love their advisors. What's the only way you can get them to leave their current advisor? The 21-point checklist that gets them to break their trust, find out Well, you know what? I was happy. I was satisfied until I found out what? My guy was withholding information to put more money in his pocket, and it's taking it out of my pocket. That's the only way you're going to get people to leave their current advisor when they're so happy. Make sense? So another thing I want to quick have you think about is the money calendar, and that means that every single month things happen. In February, for example, it's going to be the International Safer Internet Day. Could you talk to your clients about this? I'm looking for excuses to talk to your clients or prospects about, to communicate about. Non-financial things are on the fringe of finance. Plan your summer travels. Use tools like Google Flights, Hopper, Kayak. Good deals. 13th, not a football fan, looking to go into those normally crowded places to enjoy some elbow room. Can anybody say ski slopes? In March, you've got first stockholders start looking for those proxy forms. Tax filing days in a month now. Are you ready? 16th, FOMC is meeting. April, if you turn 72 in 2021, today's the deadline for taking your first RMD. The 10th, go to annual credit report to receive your free copies of credit reports. Guys, I'm showing you, are there things that you could contact people for regularly that do not necessarily have to do with anything with their finances? National Parks Week begins. Enjoy free admission. Go to NPS.gov for more information. Deadline to file your tax return. May, get to that financial spring cleaning. What can you shred? What should you keep? Another meeting. Track your refund by going to wirs.refunds. Are these things that people be interested? So there's places you can go to get more ideas on things you can talk to your clients about or your prospects about on a regular basis. You can go to the Investopedia 2022 Personal Financial Calendar, or you can go to, this is National Today, which is basically all sorts of different days. You know, this is a place where you would find things like it's National Pancake Day, it's National Say Hi to Your Neighbor Day. It's national. So you can go here and they'll actually give you a calendar. And what I'm looking for is reasons to contact clients, because satisfied clients, how many times does a satisfied client, I'm sorry, not a satisfied, a loyal client want you to talk to them, contact them? A loyal client, how many times a year do they want you to contact them? 41 times. 41 times, and it cannot be about, they want to be contacted 41 times about non-investment things. Why do they want to be contacted about non-investment things? That's how they know that you what? Care more about them than just their investments. Exactly. So you can contact them via email, or these things about the via newsletter, via phone. Send them a handwritten note. How many handwritten notes did I send out every single month? 200. Even when I was making $1 million a year, 200. Heck, I still do that today, as many of you get those monthly in the mail. Throw a party. If it's National Pancake Day, again, not with COVID, but once we're done with COVID, what could you do if it was National Pancake Day? What could you do? How much would it cost you to have a pancake breakfast? I mean, don't like Boy Scouts and whatever do that all the time. Heck, you could probably contact the local Boy Scouts and say, I'd like you guys to do a pancake breakfast for me on Saturday, and I'll pay you whatever. Is that a way? Why would you want to do that for your clients? And you can also, if it's a tie any of these dates to a press release and get your local press to interview about it. Tie it to what you're doing with your clients. Make sense? See, this is how you make your own luck. Because all these things here are ways to what? Contact. And what's the number one way that you make your luck, guys? More contact. More contact. So this is a way for you guys to have an excuse to contact your clients every single month, 2 or 3 times. And many of these things, once you set them up, take how long? It took me to write 200 notes. It took me about 2 hours a month to write 200 notes. Is that a lot of time to spend, guys, to make $1 million a year? No. Press release would probably take you maybe 4 or 5 hours to figure out, oh, here's the day, here's how I could, connect it to finances and to send it out. Newsletter, you're doing that every month anyways, hopefully. Email, geez, you could do that. If you have a contact management system, you can do that how quickly? So guys, make your luck. Make your own luck. Any excuse you can have to contact people, use it. Make sense? So what did we learn today? Number one, make sure you're contacting your clients' kids as well. Number two, what? Make sure you're utilizing that diminished car value with your current clients and prospects when you do annual reviews and when you do the 21-point checklist talking about property casualty. And then we learned the whole purpose of this was to learn what? Is there a huge difference in satisfaction between I'll get to where I want to go. Is there a huge difference in satisfaction between comfortable, retired, fluent, and average? I guess Siri's talking to me right now. I don't know. So is there a huge difference? No. So we can make people sad, but we can't make them happy. Show them that you care by doing the non-financial things, and don't try to be a hero by getting them the highest rate of return possible. Make sense? And next, find any excuse possible to contact clients. All right? You guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.